Hey everybody, so here's the book that I want to discuss. This is the Doctor Who How to Be Time Lord Official Guide. Sorry, I had stuff in my bed. So here's the book. Doctor Who How to Be Time Lord Official Guide. These are all the contents. And this is the way that the Time Lords look like throughout the ages. So you'll notice that the guy with the staff, and if you can see it, the little bit of silver hand gauntlet, that guy looks similar to Rassilon, who is probably the head or the leader of Gallifrey. In fact, if you guys have seen Doctor Who, he's been in a few episodes. I haven't seen the rest of the much newer seasons, so I'll need to catch up when I get the chance. And this is the map of Gallifrey. Yep, that's Gallifrey right there in the constellation of Kasterborous. Of course, as you can see in the top corner, the coordinates, if Gallifrey ever existed, are 10, 0, 11, 00 by 02 from its galactic zero center. So this is very fun. And here's some of the stuff that involves what's on Gallifrey, like the Citadel, the Death Zone, Arcadia, the Wastelands. Yeah, some of this is pretty cool. And here's the Time Lord biology. Yeah. I forgot to mention that in this book, there are some personal notes that the Doctor himself has added. In fact, at the beginning of this book, you'll see that the Doctor himself has said that he added some personal notes. And these are the different regenerations of the Time Lords. And the numbers right next to them are the numbers of the Doctors, the incarnations of the Doctors that have gone through these regenerations. So the white light is Doctor number 1. The disciplinary is Doctor number 2. And the blur, personally, I don't know if I got these accurately right. The blur is Doctor number 3. The watcher is Doctor number 4. And 5 is the memory vortex. And then there's the swirl, which is Doctor number 6. The morph, which is number 7. And number 8 to 12, of course now 13/14, is the explosion. And this is the Academy stuff for the Time Lords. Yeah, some of this is pretty darn cool. And these are some of the other things that are in the book, not to mention the, again, added personal notes of the Doctor, which I love: how to talk to your TARDIS, avoiding extermination, how to partially regenerate, how to build things that go ding. Actually think that one's funny. And there's the untempered schism, which, as you can see here, there's the younger version of the Master, who, story or legend has it that he looked into the untempered schism as a child and then went mad. In fact, as you can see on the bottom here, it says, for some young Gallifreyans, looking into the untempered schism can inspire them to greatness. For others, the experience is so painful and overwhelming, it makes them flee or drives them completely mad. And a little side note or sidebar note to the Master facing the untempered schism as a child. And then right here you have the Time Lord Academy examination, or personally the Time Lord quiz. And with this, I actually checkmarked the answers. So, again, those of you who have either read stuff with Doctor Who or actually seen the episodes of the shows, you can go through these questions. In fact, there's also part 2 to the quiz on the back. So here's more of the sorry guys, I've got allergies. So here's more of the quiz, and here's the answers, which are upside down. I don't know if you guys can actually see them, but the answers are 1A, 2B, 3C, I think, and 4A. Oh, sorry. 5C, 6B, 7C, 8B, 9C, 10B. And the numbers mean the number of question, and the letters mean the answers to the quiz. So here's some notable people that are part of the Time Lord Council, like Rassilon, this guy right here. Rassilon was also the Lord President. Yeah, Rassilon, he's well, at first I thought he was a bit of a good guy, but it turns out he in the End of Time part 1 and part 2, he had done some terrible things, like forcing the Master to look into the Intemperate Schism. And Rassilon, he had, in a way, wanted Earth to become the new Gallifrey. So pretty much, you know what? To sum it up, he was no better than the Daleks, because the Daleks, they wanted the Time Lords dead. Not to mention, the Daleks from the planet Skaro also wanted the humans killed off as well, seeing as how they figured that the humans are just pretty much dumb weaklings. So, as I said before, the Time Lords were no better than the Daleks, because Rassilon, being the Lord President or leader of the Time Lords, he wanted to make Earth the new Gallifrey. In fact, I'll show you or post a link probably in the description if I figure out how to do that, of a Lego video. It wasn't made by me, it was made by another person that might have some explanation as to the understanding of the Time Lords and what the story was behind them turning Earth into the new Gallifrey sort of deal. So I'll work on that sometime this month or this week, whichever comes first. And then there's the obvious, the Master. In fact, these are the few incarnations of the Master, from that to Professor Yana into that one. Of course, I wish I had an updated version of this book, because with the new Doctor involved, the Master, when he met Peter Capaldi's Doctor, the Master was a woman. Of course, the Time Lords can regenerate into whatever gender. So the Master had regenerated into a woman after the Prime Minister guy here. Then, after the Doctor regenerated into a woman, the Master regenerated back into a man. So, kind of interestingly ironic. And then there's the Rani, which is from a episode of the classic Doctor Who, and obviously the Doctor himself. And there's Omega, which he appears in also a classic Doctor Who episode. Then there's the Doctor's personal note on Jenny, who's the Doctor's daughter, in the episode, the Doctor's daughter. Then there's River Song, who you'll see in the seasons of Doctor Who with Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi. Hopefully, if like COVID ever lets up, then the actress who plays as River Song might appear in like some newer episodes with the new Doctor being a female. It might be possible, but I don't know if it could happen. Then there's the Meta-Crisis Doctor, who like had, as it says, some human DNA, so part Time Lord, part human, which the Doctor Meta-Crisis Doctor says, "Oh, that is disgusting. That is gross." And Donna, she was the result of the Meta-Crisis, and it was pretty hard for the Doctor to wipe her memories. It was the only way to spare her brain being destroyed or exploded after she absorbed some of the regeneration energy from the hand. The hand that was in the jar from the Christmas Invasion sort of thing. You know what? You guys just watch Doctor Who and you'll be able to understand what I'm talking about. I mean, you don't necessarily have to, but if you want to, then you can. Personally, I don't know if you have like the actual seasons of Doctor Who on DVD, but if you don't, you can find them on some sort of like app that you can watch TV and stuff. So here's the more stuff with the Time Lords. So you have the Chancellery Guard and the Time War Council, which these guys got involved during the last Great Time War. And in fact, the Time War Council got involved in the episode, which I think was the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who, called The Day of the Doctor. And it's where the Doctor and all of his incarnations battle the Daleks in order to save Gallifrey. So they pretty much use all of their TARDISes to freeze Gallifrey in a single moment. And here you have the timeline of the Time Lords. So you have Arachnos, Omega, the three incarnations of the Doctor, and then you have more about the Doctor, including the war with the Carrionites, who you'll see in another episode of the present Doctor Who with David Tennant. And here's the TARDIS guide stuff. Personally, I wish I had like enough money to buy tools to create my own TARDIS console, because man, that would be cool if I had my own TARDIS console in my own room. I'm not kidding. I really want a TARDIS console in my room, but I have to get a job, earn money, and get tools to make that sort of thing. Future thought. And here's some things with the TARDIS itself. You have one where it's the classic police box, and one where it's like, I don't know, turned into some sort of stone flowery sky blue monument or something, and one where it turns into some sort of pipe organ. And then there's the TARDIS tips, where avoid house, and it's a living asteroid that eats TARDISes. Makes the Doctor upset. And if ever the TARDIS is running on empty, pay a visit to Cardiff on Earth. There's a rift there where you can fill up on energy. And the Doctor has some trouble when it comes to UNIT. Then you have the so-called Seal of Rassilon, which, as it says, it's an ancient symbol of power and has been revered by the Time Lords throughout time. And now you have the How to Be the Doctor by the Doctor for the Doctor. Of course, this right here, I cut out a picture of my head and just pasted it onto the white silhouette. And it's, once you guys get this book, you can do whatever you want in it. You can write in it, make notes yourself. That's kind of sort of what I did. So here's the introduction, some other stuff. And so here's the first Doctor. In fact, I actually know the names of the actors who played the Doctor, and I know the names by heart. Sorry, page flipped. So the first Doctor, his name is William Hartnell. In fact, he had some. There were like a couple of other people who replaced William Hartnell after he died. Like Peter Hardnell or something like that. I can't remember his first name, but his last name was Hardnell. And then there was David Bradley, who, if you watch Harry Potter, he played as Argus Filch in those films. So the Doctor got grumpy when he was an old man, and then he regenerated after battling the Cybermen. Fun fact, there's actually an episode with the 12th Doctor, Peter Capaldi, where they bring back the old versions of the Cybermen, which that was actually pretty cool. Then there's the second Doctor, whose name was Patrick Troughton. It says, I was forced to regenerate as a punishment from the Time Lords for meddling with time. Yep, that's what you get when you mess with your own kind. You get forced to regenerate after messing with time when you shouldn't. And then there's the third Doctor, who was played by Jon Pertwee. Had he been alive, I think it would have been cool to see his more, like, updated picture or something. I don't know how to say it, but had this actor stayed alive, I would have been very amazed. But sadly, only like 3 of the original actors who played Doctor Who were they died. And then there's the fourth Doctor, played by Tom Baker. In fact, he actually appeared in the episode The Day of the Doctor, and he was the curator. I want you all to know, I'm sorry for spoiling for those of you who haven't seen Doctor Who. And there's the little jelly babies. Yeah, it says, I was rather fond of jelly babies. Yeah, I even offered them to enemies. Which, it's very funny, and shows in the cartoon depiction that he offered a jelly baby to the Cybermen. Yep. And there's the fifth Doctor, who's played by Peter Davison. Fun fact, he is somewhat now the father-in-law of David Tennant, because let me go back some pages, try to find it. This girl who played as Jenny in a certain Doctor Who episode, she is the daughter of Peter Davison, and David Tennant married her. And so, interesting how David Tennant plays the 10th Doctor, which I'll show soon in some pages. Amazing how David Tennant, the 10th Doctor, is son-in-law of the 5th Doctor. Then you have the 6th Doctor, who's played by Colin Baker. I don't know if Colin Baker and Tom Baker were related, but one thing's for sure, they both had curly hair. And the Doctor had a thing for wearing cats on his lapel of his overcoat, of his big coat. Then there's the 7th Doctor, played by Sylvester McCoy. And you notice in the cartoon depiction, the 7th Doctor wearing a fez, which the Doctor says in the corner, "I think this incarnation is where I got my taste for fezzes." Then there's the 8th Doctor, played by Paul McGann. In fact, just so you know, another fun fact, that Lego TARDIS you see up there, the dark blue one, not the bright blue one, I'll explain that in a moment, or later. The dark blue one was made by a guy who was part of the Lego group, and I'll show that in another video later on. In fact, that guy was actually the nephew of Paul McGann, and it was pretty cool to see that. Then you have the War Doctor, who was played by John Hurt. I'm sad that he died, because John Hurt was also one of my favorite actors. He played as Ollivander in the Harry Potter films, and he's been in some of my favorite films and shows. And there's the 9th Doctor, played by Christopher Eccleston. In fact, he's been in some movies and shows as well. And there's Rose Tyler, who's played by Billie Piper. Yep, the big ears. Then there's the 10th Doctor, who's played by David Tennant. And I think that's a bit funny, where he says in his cartoon depiction, "We really didn't want to go." So yeah, that made him a bit of a sad guy. Actually, I actually did a impression of the 10th Doctor some years ago or so. Then there's the 11th Doctor, played by Matt Smith. Yep, this guy, he was great in some of the movies and shows that I've seen him in, apart from Doctor Who. Of course, again, this needs to be updated, because then there's the 12th Doctor, played by Peter Capaldi, and the next Doctor, who's played by Jodie Whittaker. And as I said before, the new Doctor is played by a woman. So these are the companions. And you have Clara, who's the Doctor's companion for some time. Sorry about that, got tangled in the cord. So, we got some awesome stuff about Clara. Not to mention this little thing where she got turned into a Dalek. Okay, right now, I'm going to stop there, and I'll talk more about this stuff later on. So, in the meantime, happy Doctor Who info stuff, or however I say it. So, enjoy Doctor Who. For those of you who love it, right now I have to go and do something. So, I love you all, and keep on doctoring. Geronimo.